Hello, Internet. It is Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Recaps. For the first time in over a year, we're only covering 1 month, which means the era of multi month recaps is over. And that's all thanks to May having just enough major movies come out in order to justify having its own recap video, which is good. But man, it has been such a long time since I've made a single month recap video. It's crazy. Last one I made was about February 2020. I made that last March. When I made that video, that was when things really started to go to shit. Real bad, real fast. And that's when all the delays started happening, which led to the birth of the canceled series, which became the biggest blessing and the biggest curse to my channel. And my dumbass in that video thought, oh, this whole thing will get better in like a few months. It has to. Well, little did I know this whole crisis will last the rest of the year and the beginning of this year, at least the worst part of the crisis. But now that vaccines are out and about, plenty of people have gotten vaccinated, myself included, cases have dropped, restrictions have dropped, more people are being more confident going to the movie theater by the day. More movies are coming out on a more frequent basis. More movies are sticking to their release dates rather than ricocheting around the calendar. So yeah, we are definitely returning to some form of normalcy. Not full normalcy. We're not going to get that for a very long time, but we are definitely on the right path to normalcy. But the question now is, how did May do? How did May do in comparison to the last 3 months I covered, which were February, March, and April? And during those 3 months, that was when the box office started to come alive, sorta, for certain movies, mainly Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, and Demon Slayer. Well, the beginning of May was weak. Nothing really exciting happened those first 3 weekends, but that final weekend, Memorial Day, that's when things got serious. That's when we got our first true, undisputed box office smash of the COVID era, at least in the States. But we're not going to talk about that till later on. Because first, we got to talk about the first weekend of May, the beginning of summer. And it certainly didn't feel like the beginning of summer because all we had was Here Today and Wrath of Man. As you've noticed, there is no Marvel movie. Well, Black Widow was supposed to have this date, but it moved away to July, so we're stuck with these movies instead. So this will be like the first time in a long time where a Marvel movie doesn't start the summer. I think the only times that didn't happen were at least in the 21st century, were 2000, 2001, 2004, 2005, and 2006. I know in 2018 and 19, Infinity War and Endgame opened the last week of April. Doesn't matter. Those don't count. Okay, those are, I would consider those early starts to summer. All right. This year had nothing like that at all. So yeah, we were stuck with the minor leagues instead of the big leagues. So let's first talk about Here Today. And what a surprise, it didn't do well. I had zero expectations for this. I thought it would open around what? I think less than a million. I think it'll only make like, I forgot I said. That's how forgettable this movie was. Probably 2 to 3 million, I think. Well, it made 2.6. Well, 2.7 if you round it, which, isn't surprising because this movie had no marketing. It was literally added onto the schedule a mere few weeks before it came out. It didn't feel like a theatrical experience in the slightest. And most people skipped out on it. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by this result at all. So, yeah, literally nothing else to say about Here Today. But now the bigger movie of the two, Wrath of Man. Now this movie, when it comes to like a lot of these pandemic movies, when it comes to their performances, they were less than they're supposed to be. Like they were bad for their genre. Wrath of Man wasn't like that. It was actually pretty normal for its genre, even in this crippled environment. Because Wrath of Man ended up making, at this point in time, $22.7 million. I think I kind of lowballed it in my prediction video. I think I thought it would open to like 5, 6, 7 million. It ended up making 8, and it's had okay-ish legs. And for Jason Statham standards, when he's not a part of Fast and the Furious, or the Meg, or Spy, his movies do kind of moderate business. There was the Transporter movies did. Yeah, they did fine. There was like the Transporter movies. There was like, gosh, I think I can look up his track record because there's a lot of these movies, like a stupid amount. He's made a career out of this. Yeah, ever since Transporter, Transporter 2, Crank, War, Bank Job, Death Race, Transporter 3, Crank 2, the Expendables movies, Mechanic, Killer Elite, Parker, Safe, Homefront, Expendables 3, Mechanic Resurrection. Oh, there was, I already mentioned Fast and Furious. So this didn't do, it performed on par with those movies, with the majority of those movies. It actually performed better than some of them. So I definitely wouldn't consider it a flop, not by any means. But it definitely wasn't a major hit either. So, I mean, by action movie standards, it did fine. By Jason Statham action movie standards, it did fine. But for blockbuster standards, nah, it just didn't work. But it did okay. And okay is better than what a lot of these movies in the pandemic era have done. So, yeah. That was the first weekend of May. I know, wasn't exciting at all. Next weekend, we had 4. Well, if you ignore Army of the Dead, because that was Netflix, that makes things confusing. We had 4 major movies come out: Finding You, Profile, Spiral, Those Who Wish Me Dead. Only one of these movies managed to break $10 million. And even that movie wasn't a great hit. So things were not good. So first things first, Finding You. This movie looked like a Netflix movie. I said it in the... I even put it in the thumbnail. It looked like a Netflix movie. It did not look theatrical in the slightest. I was just like, why would anyone pay to watch this? And lo and behold, nobody paid to watch this. I think I predicted like under $1 million, like $1 million, and like $3 million total. It's made 2.4, 2.5 if you round it. So I was pretty accurate with my prediction because I knew it wasn't going to do great. So, and romance movies have just done awful during this era. So, this doesn't surprise me one bit. It's like the least surprising thing that happened. All right, so that was Finding You. Then we have Profile, which I definitely overestimated. I thought it would open above like 1 million or something and would make like, I don't know, 3-4 million total. I forgot exactly what I said, but somewhere around that range, I think. That did not happen at all. It did way worse. It only opened to like 700,000 and made like 1.7 million domestic, which is just horrible even by pandemic standards. And I had a sneaking suspicion it wasn't going to do great. I mean, the premise was just very weird. I bet it turned off a lot of people. With the whole, a journalist, he's like talking to like this terrorist dude on Skype and she falls in love with him. Like, no, I don't know. I don't know how many people were that's it just doesn't sound right. It sounds, some people might say it sounds gross. And lo and behold, it bombed. So that was Profile. It did terrible. It did worse than Finding You, which I don't even know how that was possible, how it would do worse than that. Next up, Spiral, the big movie of that weekend, a movie that was delayed an entire year. And now it came out. This was the first movie I saw in theaters in like 15 months. since the Sonic movie. This was the one where I was like, okay, I'm going to see this. I'm going to go out to the theater, pay for a ticket, sit down, and watch this on the big screen. And some of you probably think I'm nuts for doing that, but that's just me because I'm a big Saw fan. I wasn't going to miss this. But apparently, quite a few people missed it, judging by its box office. It opened to 8.75. Well, yeah, let's just say 8.75 million opening weekend. It's made 20 million so far. By far and away the lowest of the Saw movies. The lowest currently is Saw 6 at 27 million. I don't think it's going to reach that. So that has to sting. But what chance did this movie really have? I mean, obviously the marketplace is much worse than it normally is, and this is the ninth Saw movie, and this went into a different direction, a direction that some people weren't too keen on, and that was a bit weird, and so that may have potentially been a turn off, but like I don't know. Like, I really thought this movie would do better. I thought it would open above 10 million. I thought that would happen for sure, and it didn't happen. And now I mean, it hasn't bombed because Saw movies are always cheap. Like, they're never expensive. So you can't call it a bomb or a big money loser, but at the same time, I can't call it a success either. So yeah, it's definitely somewhere in that middle ground, which is just not good. But yeah, for my, I saw the movie. It was all right, although I thought the ending was super abrupt, like ridiculously abrupt. But it was okay. Like, I didn't hate it, but yeah, it's kind of a shame it didn't do better. It didn't live up to my expectations as a movie or at the box office. And then finally, for May 14th, Those Who Wish Me Dead, part of the HBO Max experiment. After all, uh, this movie bombed. There's no easy way to say that. It bombed. I thought it would open at like 5 million or something like that. It opened at 2.8. Like, yikes. It's only made 6.8 million domestically, 15 million worldwide, which is just horrible because, some of these HBO Max movies, they've done pretty good. Look at Godzilla vs. Kong. Look at Mortal Kombat. They overperformed. They did way better than they had any right to do. This just tanked in every sense of the word. And I think in terms of the HBO Max movies, this might be the second worst performing one. I think the only one that did worse was Judas and the Black Messiah, and that movie released at a terrible time for theaters. This had a better advantage, and it still failed. So, yeah, I think this is proof positive that Angelina Jolie, when she's not in a sleek action movie, she cannot sell a single ticket. All right. I'm pretty sure that's just confirmed at this point. And with the Internals movie coming out, because she's in it, I don't know, that trailer got a lot of heat, a lot of backlash, a lot of jokes directed at it. I don't know how that's gonna do. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, yeah, this movie did not do well at all in terms of, I guess, real failures, because Finding You and Profile were never meant to do that great in the first place. But Those Who Wish Me Dead had a lot more behind it, so I would consider it be the biggest fail of the month by far, the biggest fail. So at least on a major level. So that was May 14th. May 21st, we had one movie, Dream Horse. I didn't even know it was coming out. And it just appeared out of nowhere. And I was just like, fine. It's not going to do well anyway. And lo and behold, it didn't do well. I thought it would open under $1 million. I was right. Made 793,000 opening weekends, made 1.725 domestic. Not surprised at all. Like, why was this theatrical? Why they think this would be a theatrical experience? I don't know. It should just, I'm pretty sure Actually, I thought this was going to go to PVOD. That's what I thought, but apparently I was wrong. And it just appeared, it came out, and no one saw it. So yeah, not surprised about this at all. Okay, so that was the first 3 weekends of May, all weak as hell. But then that final week of May, Memorial Day, that's when things changed. This was the most important week ever for movie theaters. This was a make or break time for not just the summer season, but for movie theaters in general. We had two major movies from two major studios, Cruella and A Quiet Place Part 2. And, looking at their 4 day totals, I think we can clearly see who the winner is. But we might as well talk about Cruella first because it's in alphabetical order. So, Cruella, how did it do? Well, this movie was kind of weird. But the idea of the movie was weird. Like, you take this horrible villain in Cruella, like this monster of a person who skins dogs to make fur coats. And Disney was like, let's make a Maleficent esque movie about her where she's like trying to be sympathetic. And I'm just like, really? You want me to be sympathetic to her? No thanks. And a lot of people were making Joker comparisons, for obvious reasons, considering how the movies looked and how they, had kind of similar beats. The difference is Joker was a big old success. It was a phenomenon in a way. Cruella was not. So as of today, its first 4 days, it has made 26 million for its 4 day Memorial Day weekend, which looks really bad in comparison to other Disney movies. Well, actually, Memorial Day has been kind of tough for Disney movies in the past decade. I mean, yeah, bombs like Prince of Persia, Tomorrowland, Alice Through the Looking Glass, Pirates 5 didn't do that great, Solo, Aladdin was a success, but that's it. It's been mostly missed this last decade for Disney when it comes to Memorial Day, and Cruella, at least in terms of box office, is no different. But it did do better than Raya when it comes to the whole Disney Plus Premier Access $30 strategy thing, because Raya only opened to like 8.5 million. This opened to 20 million. So, well, it definitely did better, but I still think this whole thing is a stupid idea, this whole $30 thing, because why do that when you can either just go to the theater, which is going to be far less expensive, unless you're going with your whole family, or you can just wait a few months until it's free on Disney Plus. Okay, when you don't have to pay for it on Disney Plus. That's what's happening with Raya. Raya came out in March, had the whole Disney Plus Premier Access thing, and now in June, it's gonna come out June 4th on Disney Plus, and you don't have to pay for it anymore. So why even pay $30 in the first place? It's useless. It's dumb. It's just a waste of money. I don't like. Ugh, it makes my brain hurt. But yeah, and we don't even know how successful this movie really was. I mean, I know with the whole Disney Plus Premier Access thing, Disney pockets all that money because it's their service. They don't have to split it with anyone. But yeah, just looking at the box office, raw box office numbers, it's bad. But it is better. It is the best result for a family movie. Can I even qualify this as a family movie? It's like PG-13, has some dark elements. But I mean, it does have the Disney name, I guess. It This whole movie's confusing. But I guess in terms of family-ish movies, it's number one. But I think it'll be beat easily by either Peter Rabbit 2, Boss Baby 2, or Space Jam 2, or Hotel Transylvania 4. Any one of those movies should be able to beat this. So, well, I don't know about Boss Baby 2. The whole Peacock streaming thing, that makes things confusing there as well. As does the whole um, HBO Max thing with Space Jam 2. But yeah, Cruella, from pure box office perspective, fail. Fail. But it did do better than Raya, so there's that. Now, for the main event, the main event of the whole month, undisputed hit, Quiet Place Part 2. This movie has been through so much. It's unbelievable. It was supposed to come out last March, March 20th. I was so hyped. I was ready to watch it. Then it got pushed back. I was mad. Got pushed back several times. And then it shockingly got pushed up like about 4 months. It was supposed to come out in September. Then it got pushed up to May. And now here we are. So yeah, Quiet Place Part 2. I predicted it would make 30 to 35 million, maybe 40. That was my prediction. That's what I thought was going to happen. And it overperformed. It made good money. It opened to $47 million for the 3-day weekend and made 57 million for the 4-day weekend. Now that 47 million, it is less than the first Quiet Place that opened at 50 million way back in 2018. But the fact that this movie was able to open about as much and in a worse environment speaks volumes to how anticipated this movie was and how much of a big deal it was. And I did see it. I did watch it in theaters. I loved it. I don't know if it was better or worse than the first. I think both are pretty excellent. But yeah, this was definitely something that was worth going to the movie theater to see. Although, like Spiral, I thought the ending was super abrupt. Granted, that was my main issue with the first Quiet Place. But yeah, the ending was kind of like abrupt. But other than that, great movie. I highly recommend it. And yeah, I'm kind of glad this movie was like the first to, really bring people back to the theater. Because if it was anything else, if it was something worse, if it was for Cruella, that would have made me sad. But at least, people came to watch a movie that was actually worth seeing. So, yay, Quiet Place 2. And what's good is that this movie is relatively inexpensive. It'll make its money back soon because unlike the whole Disney Plus thing and the HBO Max, all that jazz, this is going to be in theaters for 45 days before it goes straight to Paramount Plus. So you got like a month and a half to watch it. You got the whole month of June to watch it. So if you want to watch it in theaters, you can watch it for the whole month of June. So go do it now, please. Please support it. It deserves support because it's really freaking good. Oh, and I forgot to mention Cruella. I think I had it like around 20 million, and it did reach that. So yay, I guess. And that's it. That was May. Yeah, like it started out weak, and then at the end, everything just exploded, and now things are on a good track. Things are on a good path again, box office wise, because after Memorial Day, we're gonna have a major movie come out for pretty much every single week after this, at least for the summer. So let's look at June, a preview of June. We got Conjuring 3, we got Spirit Untamed, we got In the Heights, Peter Rabbit 2, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, and F9. In terms of all these movies, no question F9 will do the best because it's the most hyped. It's the most, anticipated of the bunch. Although I don't know how much that John Cena controversy is going to hurt the film. We'll have to wait and see. But when compared to everything else, this is going to be an easy number one, no question. Like it's not even competition when compared to all these other movies. If I had to pick a number two, it's either going to be Conjuring 3, Peter Rabbit 2, or In the Heights. Hitman's. I think all these movies, with the exception of Spirit Untamed, because who really gives a crap about that movie? They'll all do good, but F9 will do the best. That's what I think. But yeah, that is it. That is all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got a playlist on the homepage with all previous box office recaps I've done for the channel, all the single recaps, the multi recaps. You want to watch any of those, go right ahead. It's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I just did one that was mostly about the Ninja Turtles reboot coming out in 2023. So if you want to watch that or any of the other canceled episodes, there's now 68, including the one I did recently. You go right ahead. That way you're up to date on what's going on with all these movies that you were looking forward to. Then we got box office predictions where I predict box office. This weekend I do Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, and Spirit Untamed. After that, In the Heights, Peter Rabbit 2. After that, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, and after that, F9. So that's how it's gonna work for the rest of this month. But if you want to check out any of my past prediction videos from like 2019, 2020, 2021, go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.